Good morning, everyone. Today, this is the next part of five of flywheel application, that is numerical on flywheel. And the fifth type was numericals based on the application of riveting and punching machines, right? So this is what we were discussing in the last class, and we also saw two or three numericals based on this fifth type. So let's quickly revise what was done in the last class. So type 1 was the where T theta diagram was given to us, okay, ready-made given to us. And type 2, T theta diagram was not drawn in the question, but some text was given to us with the help of which we would be able to draw the diagram. All right. And after once the diagram is done, we can solve it for the questions that are asked. The third type was where neither diagram was given, neither any text was given, with the help of which we could draw the diagram, but equation of T theta diagram was given. So we saw how to handle that condition and solve the question. Okay. Fourth type was for multi-cylinder engine. So we saw a numerical in which the the text was given to draw the diagram of one cylinder, and the next the procedure was to draw the diagram for one cylinder and then overlap it for the successive cylinders, right? And then after once the overlap diagram is done, we will draw the uh, combined T theta diagram and then solve the question, right? And the type 5 was application of the flywheel in riveting and punching machines. So how those numericals are formed and how what is the approach in that we already saw yesterday in the previous classes. Just let's revise them quickly. Okay. So uh, this is what we discussed, that application of E1 would be the energy. E1 would be the energy that is required by punching or riveting operation. And another important parameter, that is the time, comes into the picture. Okay. And E2 would be the energy supplied by motor during X time duration. So the fluctuation would be E1 minus E2, and we understood that with the help of this example, right, where the E1 was taken something, E2 was taken something, and how the requirement of flywheel is determined. This we already saw in the previous class, right? So then what we saw was the this understood this diagram, how this equation comes out to be that angular distance, that is theta 2 minus theta 1, by angular distance traveled during the operation. Okay. So that is theta 2 minus theta 1 upon the entire rotation angle, that is 2 pi, right? Divided by would be equals to this t is the linear distance traveled by the punch during during the operation or this shearing process, divided by the total length traveled by the punch. What was the total length that was traveled? Would be 2 times the stroke length, right? 2 times the stroke length. So stroke is denoted by S and thickness of plate is denoted by T. Okay. So this assumption was taken that one punch is done per revolution. So when this crank revolves once, only one punch is taking place. Okay, only one punching operation is happening. All right, and the energy E1 is the energy required by one punching operation or energy required per revolution, and E2 would be the energy supplied by motor during one punching operation. So it came out to be E1 multiplied by this uh, this value, that is theta 2 minus theta 1 by 2 pi. Okay. And this is one very important thing which we learned was that the rpm which is given to us in the question would be by default taken as the maximum rpm, because motor once turned on runs at its maximum rpm, right? So that is practical assumption that is practical consideration that has to be taken. Okay. Now since this E2 is equals to E1 multiplied by theta 2 minus theta 1 upon 2 pi, and also E is equals to E1 minus E2, right? Fluctuation of energy. So this would be equal. This we took E1 common and derived this equation, that is equation number 1. And also since theta 2 minus theta 1 upon 2 pi, that is this angular value, would be equivalent to its linear value, that is T upon 2 multiplied by S. So this is also written over here, where T is the thickness of plate and S is the stroke length. So this we discussed in the previous class. So I hope this is clear to you. Okay. Then we saw another concept, that is of motor rating. What what kind of motor we are using, what kind of motor we are purchasing and using it in our application, right? So if in question it is given that such number of holes, this many number of holes are done by the machine in per hour. So how it has to be calculated, that is the energy supplied by motor during 1 hour, okay, divided by the energy required in one punching operation. Similarly, if it is given in terms of minutes, then we will take the value of minute. Okay. And since the motor rating is usually in kilowatt, okay, and the energy, that is E1 and E2, we take them in joules. Okay. It is taken, its unit is joules. So we have to convert kilowatt into joules. So what is what? It is nothing but joule per second. Okay. Joule per second. And we will multiply it by time, either by 3600, that is number of seconds in 1 hour, or either by 60, that is number of seconds in 1 minute, in order to uh, convert the things in proper uh, units and then using them. All right. So this is what we discussed yesterday, and this is one numerical that we did, and this we solved. The next numerical, uh, next numerical was regarding this. And some rating was given to us of the motor, and operating the flywheels detail was given, and riveting time was given. Okay, what we had to calculate was the minimum speed of the flywheel that it could obtain, and also the number of rivets closed per hour that was required. Okay, so this we already saw in the previous class. Now in today's class, I also asked you to take the screenshot of this question. So I hope you have solved it. Let's just uh, s- solve this once in the class itself. Okay, so what was given to us? A machine is required to punch 4 holes of 40 diameter, right? So this is what is our requirement in a plate of 25 thickness. So thickness of plate, that is small t, is given to us, right? And the work required is 6 Newton per millimeter square. So look at its unit carefully. The work required, that is value of E1 is given to us, uh, that is energy required, is Newton meter per millimeter square. Okay, so keep this in mind, how this is given, unit. All right. And further, we would see that for shearing area, the stroke of punch is 100 So the stroke length is given to us, and maximum speed is 30 meter per second. So this n max is given to us, right? So uh, let's see how it is to be done. Find the mass of flywheel. So mass is required so that it does not fall below 27 meter per second. So minimum value of speed is given to us, and maximum value of speed is given to us, right? This is n min, and this is n max. Okay. So okay, not n. This is in terms of meter per second, so it is linear velocity. So V max and V min is given to us as 30, and 27 meter per second respectively, right? And this thickness of the plate is given to us. Assume this is the front view of the plate, and punch would be coming over here, something like this. Okay, and it would be connected something like this, right? Not this. All right. So, so this is what is given to us. The punch will come something like this, and it will shear off the material, right? So this would be the position of punch, right? And here the stroke will be, the punch would be moving in this direction, okay? And this would be the something like this. The arrangement is given to us, right? This here it is fixed, and this punch is moving like this. So the thickness of plate is 25 mm, and what else is given to us? V max and V min is given to us. So stroke length L of 100 mm is given to us, right? This is written over here. The stroke of punch is 100 mm. So stroke length is 100 mm. So what would be the radius? As we discussed yesterday, that this crank radius would be nothing but 2 times of crank radius would be equals to the stroke length. So R is equals to 100 by 2, that is 50 mm, and it is converted into meters, that is 0.05 meter, right? So I hope this is clear till here. Okay. Now, energy required in one punching operation. What would be the energy required in one punching operation? It would be shearing area multiplied by 6 Newton meter per mm square. So, what would be the shearing area? Shearing area, see if you watch over here closely, the shearing area, when the punch is coming like this, okay, when the punch is coming like this, what it will do is it will cut this much amount of material from the plate, right? Uh, and that material will come out like this. So where the punch is traveling, it is traveling around the periphery of this. So what would be the shearing area? Shearing area would be this circle, periphery of the circle, that is pi multiplied by d. Okay, and this punch, it traveled how much distance? It traveled for uh, distance which is equals to thickness of the plate, that is t is equals to 25 mm, right? So this area, okay, that is this circumference pi d multiplied by thickness. Okay, please make sure that you understand this area clearly, because this is where the punch is traveling. Some common mistakes which are done by the students during the examinations, they take this area as the area of this circle, that is pi by 4 d square, and then they multiply it by thickness. So that will become the volume, which is the wrong area which we are taking. This area is pi d, that is circumference, multiplied by the uh, thickness. Okay, so try to visualize how the punch, what would be the shearing area which would be uh, taken into consideration. So I hope this is clear. So energy required, its unit is in joules, right? Joules, that is Newton meter. But in our question, what was the E1 given to us? That is 6 Newton meter per mm square. So in order to shear this per mm square, in order to shear 1 mm square, 6 Newton meter energy is required. And total, how much we are shearing in one operation, that is pi d into t. Okay, so we have to multiply by this area in order to get the proper value of even, which would be we would be using, that is in Newton meters or joules. All right, so even comes out to be this value, because 40 mm diameter of hole, this diameter is of 40 mm, it is given in the question, and this thickness is 25 mm. Okay, and multiplied by this value which is given to us in the question. Now also energy, fluctuation of energy, we can calculate by this area E1 multiplied by 1 minus T upon 2S. So this we already discussed in previous class, and also in the starting of this lecture today. Okay, so by this formula, we can calculate the value of fluctuation of energy. It comes out to be 16,000 kilonewton meter. Okay. Also, this can be fluctuation of energy is calculated by half I omega max square minus omega min square. So uh, this also we discussed in the previous class. Okay. Now this I, its value is m multiplied by k square, or m r square, right? In case of disc type flywheel, so it is sorry, rim type flywheel, it is m r square. So we kept the value of m and multiplied the r square inside. So once the r square is multiplied inside, what we get is v square, because v is equals to r omega, right? So this I was substituted as m into r square. That r square is taken inside the bracket, and omega max into r square would be v max square, and omega min into r square would be v min square. And the value of r we already calculated in the previous slide, that is by the stroke length and radius relation, right? So this comes out to be that the mass of flywheel is 192.9 kg. Okay, so this is the approach of this type of numerical. Let's I hope this is clear to you. Let's move on to next numerical, which is very important. Okay, pardon for this hazy picture that I have taken, please bear with it. So the question says, in a requirement of a flywheel in a punching press, the cycle time is 6 seconds. So I hope you remember what is cycle angle. When we draw the T theta diagram, the amount of angle which which the uh, this angle was called the cycle angle. Okay, the amount of time which we are keeping the cycle into consideration, that is one complete cycle. When it completes, the amount of angle turned by the crank is called a cycle angle. So by default, the cycle time would be nothing but the time taken to complete this cycle angle. Okay, let's suppose if it is 2 pi, the cycle angle is 2 pi. So the time required by the crank to uh, rotate 2 pi revolutions is the cycle time. Okay, so it is pretty much straightforward. Okay, so the cycle time is given to us 6 seconds. So it can be easily comprehended that cycle time, in this cycle time, the crank will uh, do its complete cycle. That is, this was the crank, this was the connecting rod, and here punch will come, right? And this is fixed. So once this rotates its entire revolution, what will happen? There will be a forward stroke and there will be a return stroke. Okay, so that forward stroke and return stroke both are happening in this 6 seconds only. Okay, now the stroke is 125 mm. So stroke length is given to us. Thickness of metal plate is given to us as 3 mm. Calculate the time required in seconds for punching this plate. So time required for punching the plate is asked to us. Okay, so this is a very simple question, but let's see the approach, how this is taken. So the stroke length is given to us 125 mm, and it will be taken twice since we are talking about the cycle. So in cycle, there one would be the cutting stroke, another would be the return stroke. So the total stroke length would be 125 multiplied by 2, that is 250 mm. And this 250 mm traveling is taking place in how much time? It is in 6 seconds. Okay, so by the linear law, what we can calculate is, by for 1 mm how much time is taken, and for 3 mm how much time is required. Okay, so this is very simple aptitude kind of question. Okay, so the thickness of, why we are taking 3 mm, because the thickness of the plate is 3 mm, and the operation time would be the to cut the plate, and that is whose thickness is 3 mm. So it comes out to be 0.072 seconds. All right. So this is how why we are using this, because we know that the uh, distance traveled is equals to uh, velocity multiplied by time. Okay, so this is in terms of linear motion. What will happen in terms of angular motion? That is this theta. Theta is the angular distance traveled, right? Theta is equals to angular speed, that is omega, multiplied by t. Okay, that is the time taken. So theta would be the angular distance that has been traveled, omega will be the angular speed multiplied by time. So that's why this is used, that omega is equals to theta by t. So it is pretty straightforward. If you are good in aptitude, you will be able to crack it. Such type of questions are pretty much asked in the competitive examinations. So those who are willing to prepare for competitive examinations, or trying to go for higher studies by the help of gate cracking the GRATE examination, so they may take a note of this. All right. So this, I hope this is clear to you. Let's move forward. That would be the, I think this would be the last question or second last question. Okay, one thing that I wanted to discuss was this term called coefficient of steadiness. So this coefficient of steadiness is nothing but the reciprocal of coefficient of fluctuation. Coefficient of fluctuation, what was the coefficient of fluctuation? It was denoted by Cs. Okay, I hope you remember what is this Cs. It is the coefficient of fluctuation of speed. What was that? It was nothing but the fluctuation of speed upon mean speed. So fluctuation of speed would be maximum speed minus minimum speed divided by the mean speed. Okay, so this is the fluctuation of speed. So the coefficient of steadiness is 1 upon coefficient of fluctuation of speed, right? So this is very straightforward, because fluctuation, what does the fluctuation denotes? That how much energy is varying from its mean position. Okay, that is what its fluctuation is. And what is steadiness? Steadiness is how steady is the system, how constant is the system, how constant values we are getting. So that is more useful to us. So this is a complete reciprocal of what we want. Okay, so if the coefficient of steadiness is more, that means system is more stable. And if the coefficient of fluctuation of speed is more, that means system is unstable, right? So a question based on that. Let's see this. The maximum speed of flywheel is 1000 rpm. So n max is given, and the coefficient of steadiness is 50. So 1 upon Cs is given to us. Calculate the maximum variation of speed in flywheel in rpm. So variation is asked, that is n max minus n min is asked to us. Okay, so this is what is asked. Cs, we can calculate the Cs by this expression, and we also know that Cs is equals to omega max minus omega min upon omega mean, or n max minus n min upon n mean. And what was n mean? That is average, that is n max plus n min by 2. So we'll substitute the values and find out the value of n max minus n min. So I hope this is pretty clear. Again, this what has been written over here, it is meant for competitive examinations. That if the value of Cs is given as plus minus 0.2%, it means the total fluctuation would be 2 times of this, that is 0.4%. And similarly, if it is given plus minus 4%, the total value of fluctuation we have to take 8%. That is from mean. That is from mean. It is going towards positive side as 4% and towards negative side as 4%. So this total fluctuation that we have to take into consideration is 4 plus 4, that is 8%, or whatever value is given to us. Okay, if it is not written as plus minus directly, it has given that it is 0.2%, then we have to take this value itself. So this is for competitive examinations. If you are aiming for that, please keep in mind such points. Okay, now okay, so this will be the last question. The flywheel fitted to a steam engine has mass of 1000 kg. So mass is given, radius of gyration is given as 400 mm. The starting torque of engine is 580 newton meter. Okay, the value of torque is given, which is assumed to be constant. Okay, the calculate the kinetic energy of the flywheel after 14 seconds. So this question, what all is given to us? that mass of flywheel is given, and radius of gyration and value of torque is given. So we know that torque is equals to I into alpha, right? uh, what is alpha? Alpha is nothing but angular acceleration. Okay, so it is very analogous to the equation force is equals to mass into acceleration. Okay, so mass over here is replaced by radius of this moment of inertia, and angular acceleration is replaced by linear acceleration is replaced by angular acceleration, and this torque is analogous to force. Okay, because in terms of linear we call it force, when we are talking about rotational dynamics it is called as torque. Okay, so this 580 is equated to this I alpha. So we calculated the value of alpha from here, that is 3.625 radian per second square. Mind the units which we have kept in while equating the values. Okay, now we also know that this equation v is equals to u plus at. Okay, so this is converted in this linear are converted into angular terms. That would be omega is equals to omega 0 plus alpha multiplied by t. Okay, so since it is given that the initial torque is to be taken as 0. Okay, the starting torque of engine is 580 Newton meter, which is assumed to be constant. Okay, so omega 0, there is no initial speed, so it is taken as 0, and alpha t. So we find that omega is equals to alpha multiplied by t. This time of 14 seconds is given to us. Okay, so what would be the kinetic energy? It will be half. See, in linear terms, the kinetic energy is half mv square. So mass is replaced by this moment of inertia. V is replaced by angular velocity, that is omega. Okay, so we just substitute the value and get the answer as 206 kilojoule or 206045 joules. So I hope this is clear to you. So we'll conclude our lecture here today, and thank you everyone for joining.